like all laborers.
A great idea, and of course that's the way the system was set up. Now there are a number of problems with it. We can get into some of the others actually before the hour is out, such as how the Food and Drug Administration approval process often robs drug manufacturers of the effective monopoly protection of a new drug that may be sold in this country. But that's not the central part of what we're talking about here tonight. We're talking about something called the Patent Trial and Appeal Board. What is that?
Excellent question. So, just like all other property rights in our system, the patents are property rights. They're securing the fruits or labors of an inventor just as much as a farmer who creates a farm, or a person who builds a house has the fruits of their labor secured to them as a property right. That's what patents are, and this is what has been a unique American approach to it as part of life, liberty, and property, including intellectual property. And like all property rights in this country today, it's under attack. It's under attack by unnecessary, costly, and destructive regulations and administrative agencies. 2011, Congress, in response to an alleged crisis that really wasn't truly a crisis, but they were made to think it was, created this new administrative tribunal at the Patent Office called the Patent Trial and Appeal Board. It goes by the acronym PTAB. So it's just part of all of the alphabet soup of our agencies. The FDA, EPA, and others, the PTAB. And just like all those other agencies are destroying rights of resistance, the purpose of the PTAB is to cancel patents. Anyone can file a petition for any reason. It doesn't follow due process. They stack panels of administrative patent judges to reach pre-desired results. They don't respect the basic protections of rights, either in process or substance, that patent owners historically have received in courts and that all other Americans receive in regular courts of justice. It's a real tragedy.
Well, it sounds to me a lot like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We had a process in place in which if someone challenged a patent, there are patent courts in this country, an actual separate federal court. I've actually been in a patent court. It's a little arcane if you're not familiar with the process by which a challenge to a patent can be reviewed in what sounds like a very fair, just process of due process. Was there something wrong with the patent court system and the process that existed that was following the creation of this PTAB?
No, there was nothing wrong with it whatsoever. And you're exactly right. Anyone through the court system, through the regular federal courts, and then there's a specialized, as you said, there's a specialized court that hears just appeals for patent cases in Washington, D.C., appeals for the Federal Circuit. That specializes in patent law and hears all of patent appeals. And this process has been working for, as it's well over 200 years. They respected the basic due process rights of patent owners as property owners and of litigants and of people willing to challenge patents. But what happened was that there was a tremendous lobbying effort by some companies in the high-tech community, property skeptics and IP skeptics, leftist academics, and others who created this narrative, this story about the so-called patent troll. Many people may have heard this term. Millions of dollars were spent pushing this term out into the public debates, writing op-eds, putting papers in front of congresspersons to say there are all of these bad patent owners with so-called bad patents that shouldn't have been issued, and there's this crisis that's crushing innovation. Of course, we live in the most innovative era humans have ever lived in, with our smartphones and laptop computers and miracle drugs that cure viruses now, and yet they were saying our innovation's being crushed and that we need to create a new agency whose sole purpose would be to cancel, to eliminate these property rights.
Now, one thing, did I hear you use the term property skeptics?
Well, the people who are skeptical, leftists and others who look askance at rights of private property, either in land, also tend to be skeptical of rights in intellectual property.
Why are we even listening to people like that? I mean, this is ignorant riffraff.
You could say the same question about why are we listening to them in all other areas of our life.
Yes, we certainly could, couldn't we?
Yes. And this is a great example. You can't. There's no one area of our country now and of our political system or legal system that has not been left unaffected by this assault. That started, with the leftists and the socialist progressives in the early 20th century, that created the administrative state, that created all of these regulatory agencies to engage in what they explicitly called social engineering, and the patent system has succumbed to this now, 100 years later as well.
1-866-50-JIMBO, our number. 1-866-505-4626 with Professor Adam Mossoff of the Scalia Law School at George Mason University in Northern Virginia, as we're looking at this Patent Trial and Appeal Board. Proponents sold it as a faster, cheaper alternative than taking patent challenges to court. First of all, I'm not sure that faster and cheaper is necessarily a virtue when it comes to administering justice. I'll grant you that the wheels of justice sometimes turn very slowly, and a process that is the court docket for these patent courts that backs up that we needed something, quote, faster and cheaper?
No, and in fact, there's nothing unique to any of the problems that occur in patent trials that one doesn't see anywhere else in our court system today. As of course, courts are bogged down with excessive discovery and excessive legal fees and things of that sort. These are general problems that everyone has rightly been complaining about and has been talking about for many decades. And the patent system, of course, because that was a litigation system, like any other, it was affected by that as well. But it wasn't unique to patents. And in fact, this is one of the ways in which the lobbyists succeeded in getting this pushed through Congress in 2011 is that they were able to convince Republicans in Congress that this was so-called tort reform. Create the Patent Trial and Appeal Board, be more effective in getting rid of patents, and so the legislation that you could show that you could do this effectively, cut down on these excessive lawsuits, excessive bad patents, and then you can leverage that for the tort reform that you're trying to push through. But this isn't tort reform. This is weakening property rights. I mean, this is the same thing as weakening a person's ability to stop a person trespassing across your front lawn or from your home, because what the Patent Trial and Appeal Board does is it creates the ability for someone to literally cancel your property right out from underneath you, so you can't even bring the trespass lawsuit.
We're going to get some of the details here about this process as it now exists in a second. Right now, a call from Robert in Burlington, Vermont, on the Jimbo Hannon Show with Professor Adam Mossoff of the Scalia Law School at George Mason University. Good evening, Robert.
Yes, good evening. Good evening, Professor. I had a utility patent, and the time has run out on it. My question is it cheaper to make an improvement to my existing patent, or would I just... how could I extend the ownership of my patent, or my idea?
Thank you for the question, you really should talk to a patent lawyer who can investigate your invention, investigate what you have come up with, and any follow-on inventions, and can give you proper legal advice as to how to properly secure the fruits of your productive labors. You represent a lot of what this country has been founded upon. I listed some of the names: Edison, Graham Bell, Alexander Graham Bell, Nikola Tesla, the Wright brothers, individuals who have obtained, who come up with a new great idea, produce the invention, got a property right in it for a patent system, was able to take it out into the market, to commercialize it, sell it, license it, do what patent holders do. So And that's been the basis of the driver of our innovation economy, because, a lot of great inventors are not good business persons. You don't want them to be business persons. You want them to be inventing. Henry Ford, who's a very, very good friend of Thomas Edison, personally loaned him millions of dollars and lost that money because Edison thought he was a good businessman and he wasn't. Thomas Edison. He's the world's greatest inventor and the world's worst businessman. As I said, Henry Ford knew of what he spoke because he lost millions of dollars in personal loans to his friend. So this is exactly what you want with property rights, right? You want a farmer who owns the property right in their farm. They shouldn't have to be also the one to sell it. That should be the grocery store and the wholesaler who collects their food and transfers it to the grocery store. And this is the basis of a vibrant innovation economy or free market, when we allow specialization. And this is what happened in this country. And this is what's being attacked today, because the individuals are now no longer secure in their property rights because they now have a property right, and a large company says, well, I'll just steal your invention. And if you try to fight me, I'll go to the PTAB and get your patent canceled, and it'll cost you thousands of dollars. And you won't be able to do anything about it, and you'll end up with nothing anyway.
1-866-50-JIMBO, 1-866-505-4626. Does it sound like the American way to you? Isn't to me. Or to our guest, Adam Mossoff of George Mason University, 1-866-50-JIMBO, and we'll be back with more in just a moment. From our lips to your ears, News Talk 1540 KXEL. Welcome back to the Jimbo Hannon Show, 1-866-50-JIMBO. Professor Adam Mossoff of the Scalia Law School at George Mason University in Fairfax, Virginia is our guest. And regproject.org is the website, regproject.org. Here's a call from Tom in Port Angeles, Washington. Hello, Tom.
Hello, Jimbo. Hello, Professor.
Hi, Tom.
Bette Midler did a really cool song about this, and it was called Arnold Tixon and a French patent thief named Brazier. So if you ever get a chance to listen to it, it's very funny.
Great.
Having said that, once you take your invention to a foreign country to have it mass-produced so that you might profit more from it, all your intellectual property that you threw into that, everything you had, is gone. And, some of this is stuff as simple as, better earpieces for sunglasses, and some of it is stuff that infringes on intellectual property that's important to national security. How do we build fireplanes? How do we make those turbine blades for those kinds of engines?
You're talking about what, lack of international protection of intellectual property, Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that is a problem.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a problem. I'm not sure that directly relates to this, but for the record, depending on where you go, read that China, there are places that are less likely to respect your intellectual property than other places. Correct, Adam?
Oh, exactly. And this is the protection of intellectual property globally has long been a concern of the United States. And so many of these initiatives, we were in trying to get other countries to join treaties to recognize and protect the rights of our innovators and our creators. And we've even heard President Trump in the recent months, and even this past week, explicitly call out China for what everyone has recognized for many, many decades as widespread theft of American intellectual property rights there. But I appreciate and respect President Trump's emphasis on this concern. He's one of the first presidents who's actually really talked about it, and it's an important problem. But Jim, you were exactly right. I mean, we can talk about China stealing our intellectual property all we want, but if we're not protecting our intellectual property in our own country, then there won't be anything for China to steal anyway. Moreover, China is becoming a very complicated picture. because, China and many other countries are now looking for how do they become innovation economies themselves? How do they go from being the countries where they manufacture the goods for other countries to creating the goods themselves? And China is going through a bit of a shift right now. They actually have now stronger patent laws in many respects.
Isn't that ironic?
Yes, they're only. This is very important, and this is one of the things that a lot of people are not talking about. So the U.S. Chamber of Commerce does an annual ranking of world intellectual property systems, the patent systems and the copyright systems. For many, many years, the United States was number one. And then last year, for the very first time, because of things like the PTAB, we slipped from number 1 to 10th. And then just this year, we slipped from 10th to 12th, showing that the slip last year from 1 to 10 wasn't an anomaly, wasn't like an aberration or blip, a statistical blip. It's a pattern now. We're slipping. And China is only ranked 7 places behind us now in the patent system. If you had said to me 15 years ago that China was going to be ranked 7 places behind the United States, we were going to be 12th, and China was going to be not fifth in the world ranking, I would have said you're insane.
Just for the record, who has the best record?
Well, right now, the country with the strongest patent system is Singapore. And we're behind countries like Sweden and Spain and Ireland. For innovation economies more generally. We are tied with Italy. Italy, yes, they make great cars. Ferraris are awesome, and Ducati motorcycles are fantastic. But we're talking about the biotech revolution, the medical drug, the pharmaceutical revolution that occurred in the 20th century and the 21st century is rooted in the United States, as is the high-tech revolution. And this was all driven by our number 1 ranked gold system patent system. And we're losing this because of things like the PTAB and the bad legislation being passed by Congress and even bad court decisions.
All right, we'll come back and we'll talk some more about the PTAB situation and other things related to the protection of intellectual property, which matters. It matters a lot. Back in a moment.
From the Cedar Valley through the corridor, this is the voice of Eastern Iowa. News Talk 1540 KXEL. Waterloo, Cedar Falls, Cedar Rapids.